Good morning everyone. Welcome back to GK Today. I hope you all are doing very well, and today we'll be discussing most important MCQs for 21st of January 2023. Let's start with our session. Which country recently renamed the places that used the racist slur for its native people? So US government has recently announced to change the name for 5 places whose designations included a racist term for the Native American woman. Okay, so Deb Haaland, who is the first Native American cabinet secretary in the US history, created a task force to replace derogatory names of the nation's geographic features, and the sites are in the states of California, North Dakota, Tennessee and Texas. Okay, so this is the country USA. Next is World Health Organization recently urged the Southeast Asian countries to take urgent measures against which particular disease? So WHO has requested all the nations in Southeast Asia to take urgent and accelerated measures against measles disease. And what is the reason behind it? Because this disease is on the rise, as nearly 9 million children have missed the vaccination in the past 2 years. Also, 5.3 million children remain partially vaccinated. And the measles vaccination coverage has also significantly reduced after the COVID pandemic. Fine. So that is the reason why WHO has requested the Southeast Asian countries that they should take some urgent measures against the measles disease. Fine. Next is Europe's largest known deposit of rare earth oxides has been discovered in which country recently? So Swedish state-owned mining company LKAB has announced that it has discovered more than 1 million tons of rare earth oxide in the country. And this is the largest ever known deposit of rare earth oxide in Europe. Okay, so currently no rare earth are mined in Europe, and the continent mostly imports them from other region. And according to a report, 98% of rare earth used by the European Union were sent by the country China. Fine. So recently this known deposit of rare earth oxide has been discovered from Sweden. Next is, which country recently announced the plans to reduce the current strength of its military to half by the year 2030? So Sri Lanka has announced the plans to reduce the current strength of its military to half by 2030. Why? To build a technically and tactically sound defense force. Actually, the country has been facing criticism that military expenditure was more than the allocation for healthcare and education in the 2023 budget. And due to forex shortage, Sri Lanka was unable to afford the key imports including fuel, fertilizer and medicines. Okay, so that's why Sri Lanka has recently decided to reduce the current strength of its military to half by the end of 2030. Next is, which country has operated the Boeing 737 MAX flight for the first time since 2019? So Chinese operated Boeing 737 MAX took off from Guangzhou recently, and this is the first flight by a domestic airline since March 2019. So China grounded the model after 2 deadly accidents involving the model in 2018 and 2019, and the aircraft was cleared to fly again in the US, then followed by other countries after modifications were made to the flight control software and pilot training. Fine. So recently China has operated this flight for the first time since 2019. Next question is, FIFA opened a disciplinary case against which team for offensive player misconduct and the violations of fair play at the World Cup. So FIFA has opened a disciplinary case against the country Argentina Football Association. Why? For alleged offensive player misconduct and violations of fair play at the World Cup final. So FIFA has cited its media and marketing regulations for prosecuting the case, which appears to relate to a celebration by the players running through the interview zone after the game. And as we know that Argentina has beaten the country France in a penalty shootout after a 3-3 draw in Qatar. Right? So this is the country Argentina. Next question is, Chirag Shetty and Satvik Siraj Rankireddy, who were seen in the news recently, play which sport? So India's men's double pair of Satvik Siraj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty recently stormed into the semi-finals of Malaysia Open men's doubles badminton event. Okay. However, they lost in the semi-finals to the Chinese pair, and the Indian ace shuttler HS Pranay bowed out of the men's singles after losing in the quarterfinals, while PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal crashed out of the Malaysia Open in just the first round. Okay, so they are related to badminton. Next question is, which Union Ministry launched the Soul of Steel challenge? So Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh recently started the Soul of Steel Alpine Challenge, which is an initiative to promote tourism in the border areas. So he launched a website for the volunteers to sign up for various adventure activities under the joint initiative of Indian Army and CLAT Global, which is a veterans organization. And also he flagged off Road to the End program, which is a 460 kilometers long car rally as a part of joint expedition by the Army and the CLAT Global. Fine. So this is the initiative of Ministry of Defense. Next question says, which country is set to establish a Global South Center of Excellence? So Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that India will establish a Global South Center of Excellence. And the center aims to undertake research on the development solutions of any of developing countries which can be scaled up and implemented in other members of the Global South. So he announced this at the concluding session of the Voice of Global South Virtual Summit. And now you have to tell me what was the theme for Voice of Global South Virtual Summit. Do let me know in the comments. Here correct answer would be India. Now last question says, which state announced the Chief Minister's Village Road Improvement Scheme? So Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. M.K. Stalin, announced that the government will launch the Chief Minister's Village Road Improvement Scheme. And the scheme will be aimed at improving the quality of 10,000 kilometers of Panchayat Union Road with a budget of 4,000 crore rupees over the next 2 years. And the government has decided to extend the Chief Minister's breakfast scheme as well, that has been launched for the school students there to all the school across the Tamil Nadu in a phased manner. Okay, so this is the scheme from the state of Tamil Nadu. So these are the most important current affairs and the news from today. And now let's start with our revision section, in which we'll be doing the current affairs revision of December 2022, and this is part 12 in the series. So in this we'll be covering the questions from 166 up to 180. Let's see question number 166. International Monetary Fund has approved program monitoring with board involvement for which particular country? So IMF has approved a 4-month program monitoring with board involvement for war-hit Ukraine. And aim is to maintain economic stability because of Russia's invasion of the country, and also to help the Ukraine in promoting donor financing. And basically the IMF has estimated that the country will need between $40 billion up to $57 billion in external financing in 2023. Frank Bainimarama is the incumbent Prime Minister of which particular country? This question is not at all relevant. Still I am telling you, he was the incumbent Prime Minister of the country Fiji. And now the new Prime Minister of the country Fiji is Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Okay. Next is Sasi Kumar Mukund, who was seen in the news recently, is associated with which sport? So recently he has won the semi-finals of $15,000 ITF men's tennis tournament in Egypt country. That's why he was in news. So correct answer would be tennis. He is related to tennis. Which state or the union territory generated most number of jobs under the PMEGP scheme in the current fiscal year? What is this? Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program scheme. So Jammu and Kashmir has generated the most number of jobs among the states and the union territories in the current fiscal year. Which scheme won the Platinum Icon in the Digital India Awards 2022 for their initiative Data Smart Cities? So the Smart Cities mission, which works under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, won the Platinum Icon in Digital India Awards 2022 for their initiative named as Data Smart Cities, empowering cities through data. Okay. So this mission has won the Platinum Icon. Next is, who was awarded the first Rohini Nayyar Prize for outstanding contribution to the rural development? This award has been presented to Setri Chem Sangatam. Okay. And he runs an NGO that works with farmers in the eastern Nagaland. Satvik Siraj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty, who were seen in the news recently, play which sport? We have already seen this question, but at that time in the month of December, they were in news because of different thing. Actually, they reached their career best world number 5 rank in the BWF world rankings. That's why they were in news. Okay. Correct answer would be badminton. They are associated with badminton. Rock cut sculptures and the reliefs of Unakoti, which was added in the UNESCO's tentative list of World Heritage Site, are in which particular state? Actually, 2 heritage sites from the state of Gujarat and 1 heritage site from Tripura state have been recently added to the tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Site. Okay, and these 2 sites from Gujarat are, first is the Sun Temple that lies in Modhera, and second is Prime Minister Modi's hometown named as Vadnagar. Okay, so rock cut sculpture and reliefs of the Unakoti lies in Tripura state. Which state or union territory has recently granted industry status to its tourism sector? So the Assam cabinet has approved the proposal for grant of industry status to the tourism sector in the state. Why? To boost investment and to generate employment. Okay. So now with this grant, restaurant, cafeteria, health club, spas and the wellness centers, etc. in the state are eligible for the incentive under the industrial policy. Which country passed a law that allows people over 16 years of age to change their legally registered gender? So Spain's lower house of parliament passed a law that allows the people who are over 16 years of age to change their legally registered gender without any type of medical supervision. Actually, under the law, minors who are aged between 12 and 13 will need a judge's authorization to make the change, and those who are between 14 and 16 will have to be accompanied by their parents or their legal guardian. But those people who are above 16 can change their legally registered gender very easily. Next is, Project Loin is being implemented by which state government? So Project Loin is being implemented by the state government of Gujarat, and it is implemented in the Gir landscape in the Gujarat, which is the last home of the Asiatic loins. And we are doing it to secure and restore the loin's habitat for managing its growing population. Lok Sabha passed constitutional ST Order 5th Amendment Bill for inclusion of scheduled tribe in which particular state. So Lok Sabha has passed this bill to amend the Constitution Scheduled Tribe Order 1950 for the inclusion of 13 communities in the list of scheduled tribes in relation to the state of Chhattisgarh. And the government has identified 75 particularly vulnerable tribal groups across the country. Which Union Ministry is associated with Maritime Anti-Piracy Bill 2022? So Parliament has passed this bill after the approval of Rajya Sabha recently, and the bill enables Indian authorities to take action against piracy on the high seas. Actually, it applies to the sea beyond the exclusive economic zone, which is beyond 200 nautical miles from India's coastline. And which ministry is associated with it? Ministry of External Affairs. Which Union Ministry implements the Amrut 2.0 program? Actually, the Payjal Sarvekshan under Amrut 2.0 was launched by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And the full form of Amrut is Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. So it aims to examine the compliance of the city with respect to quality, quantity, and the coverage of water supply, sewage management, etc. in 500 Amrut cities. Benjamin Netanyahu is the longest serving Prime Minister of which country? So he is the longest serving Prime Minister of Israel country, and recently he has secured a deal to form a new government. Okay, so he is the Prime Minister of country Israel. So these are the next 15 questions from the month of December, and in the next 4 days we'll be done with our December current affairs revision part, and later on we'll come to November month. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be doing the questions from 181 up to 195. Now let's start with today's quiz. Here on the slide you can see 5 questions which have been taken from the past 2-3 days current affairs. Pause the video and try to solve each of these questions, and at the end of the lecture do not forget to share your scores in the comment section. So please be honest and do not cheat with yourself. So that's it for today. I hope you have liked the session. These were the important news and events from today, and we will meet again tomorrow with some more important current affairs. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to GK Today. With this, Neeraj Hatsana signing off.